What is up, you guys, and thanks for joining for this video. And a little disclaimer before we begin here. I know that people tend to be very upset with these type of videos because there are, of course, much based on my personal experience of them and really what I think of them. And be regarded that this is just a video just like that, that they're only my thoughts, and this is the Pokemon that I feel should become much more than they really did, and as a result, they are not used that often, and really, they're outmatched by other Pokemon, or they're just overall disappointment and something I wanted it to become even better. So also, after you watch this video, of course, make sure to leave Pokemons that you think I left out, because I do want to know about it. And there weren't too many Pokemon introduced this generation, in Generation 6, of course. I think we got around 70 Pokemon, and a lot of them were very good. What I mean by that is, of course, that they actually introduced things that made the metagame much more vast, but sadly they introduced a few pokes that, while their typing and setup were great, they still fell short in the metagame, and that is something I want to reach out on. So, without further ado, guys, this is my top 5 Pokemon from Generation 6 that sucks. So let's get into it. Number 5. Delphox. So yeah, I was definitely on the fence if I even should put this guy or Evolog on the list, but it came out to this. Delphox is the first fire starters we got since Generation 2 that is especially offensively oriented with the highest special attack yet to be introduced to a fire Pokemon, as a start of course, and it really doesn't feel like that. And what I mean by it is that both fire and psychic, being unique typing, only introduced to, of course, Victini, is very heavily oriented in special attacks and can actually dish out very high damage, and its stats really look like that. But there's sadly where it all ends. It doesn't learn too many moves, it doesn't get access to Thunderbolt or anything to be properly dealing with. Its most common threat was going to be both ground, rock, and water. So it got access to Solar Beam, Grass Knot, but not Energy Ball. It has a freaking branch on its tail, and it can't utilize it, and that's really where this Pokemon came to an end. What I mean by that is that it's limited by default. It learns by egg moves, wish, and stuff like that. It's supposed to be a supporter and, you know, getting a switcheroo to trick items, but really, a specially offensive Pokemon that doesn't have the best defensive capabilities, or you really want to utilize wish on that? No, you don't. And that is so frustrating because Delphox was supposed to be something else and it didn't turn out like that. Next generation is gonna get access to Shockwave, and that really stings considering the given circumstance of Shockwave being as powerful as Hidden Power, which means that you're better off with Hidden Power activation. And yeah, it's a huge disappointment considering what it was supposed to be, at least in my eyes. Not getting access to Dark Pulse and stuff like that, really limited by default, and yeah, I'm not gonna say it sucks, but I do miss that it didn't turn out to something else, and that's why it is on the 5 spot, of course. Number 4, Meowstic. So yeah, how to start off this one without getting people pissed. Meowstic is probably the Pokemon that I thought was gonna be a game changer and ended up being just forgotten. And Meowstic has, you know, that gimmick to it that the male one is more of a supporter, while the special defensive one and more offensive oriented, I guess you'd say, is the female one. And that's all fine by me. Just why do they share the same stat pool? They basically do that. I think there are some few changes at best, but the only thing changing them are their ability and their moveset. And it's really frustrating me to see a great Pokemon like this being a waste, really, and just being a copy-paste Pokemon to different types of Pokemon. It could have been a separate Pokemon, much like Nidorina and Nidorino. But no, they made them same typing, and everything is copy-paste as far as I know. And what really, you know, boils down on me is that Prankster is one of the best abilities in the game. They should have utilized that and make them just have different designs like they do with other pokes, but still, if Prankster was included with the Meowstic and the stored power set moves were included, you know, with Sucker Punch and stuff like that, I really think this Pokemon will be much more superior. Now, when it comes out, you know exactly what it is. If it is a male one, you know it's a supporter. If it is a female one, you know it's a setup or strengthening. and I know, it kind of gives away the Pokemon, and I didn't feel this way until very late in the metagame, where I realized that people know exactly how to deal with this one, because it's just another Psychic type, and that's what makes it. What if it was Psychic Fairy or something like that, so you could utilize something different? But no, it's a copy-paste poke, and it doesn't suck because of it, but it definitely doesn't make it stronger. And yeah, that is really frustrating. And like I said there, I mean, it got access to, the female one got access to Sucker Punch, and it definitely doesn't have the stat to utilize that, and it just comes down to whether or not you want to risk it or not. And I think Meowstic is too weak to utilize a Sucker Punch, and it's definitely too weak to set up with Barrier Store Power. Yes, I've done it in my videos, but no, it's not that easy to pull off, and sadly, if you got access to Prankster, it would be a much safer way to set up, but it doesn't work like that, and as a result, the Pokemon become very limited by default, and that's why it is on number 4. Number 3. Carbink. So when you think of the typing Rock, I assume you think, much like me, that it's a very good offensively typing that can deal with a lot of common threats, but being fire, flying, and it's very good to deal against common Pokemons, and it has some defensive bulk into it, so it's a very good typing. And when you think about Fairy, much of the same. You think about that it can wall out common Pokemons in the higher tiers, and when you combine these two typings, you get Carbink, which by design looks awesome to me. I love it a lot. But sadly, it only got one thing right, and it became a wall. And really? I mean, Carbink with the Unite typing only being rivaled by Diancie at the moment is one of the best typing in the game, to be honest, at least offensively. But when you don't have the offensive bulk to actually be dishing out damage, you're in trouble. You're definitely in trouble, to be honest. And I really feel that Carbink, you know, became a supporter. It's not that great of a typing when it comes to Steel, of course, but other than that, it can wall out a lot of things. But it doesn't have the HP to do it, it doesn't have the safe recovery to even trying to do it. You get access to Calm Mind, but like I said, the issue is in its HP. So it's coming up as just a waste of a poke, to be honest. And with offensively stats around 50 base, it's not going to do or dishing out that damage anytime soon. And by default, this Pokemon became a waste. And I really feel like Game Freak screwed this guy over, because this thing could have been so much more. What if they actually just made it specially oriented and sacked off that defense against, that was, what is that, 150 base, and put it on special attack, or at least distribute it better, that he could utilize the Calm Mind. Then we'll have a superior poke, but no, it will just become a forgotten game, sadly. Number 2, Aurorus. Yeah, you all guys knew this one was coming, and really, if you look at this Pokemon, Rock and Ice are probably the best offensively typing in the game, no doubt. I'm saying this right now. If this thing was faster, it'd probably be one of the better ones, much like Mamoswine, to be honest. But sadly, it's so slow that it needs to pull out Rock Polish, and even if it survives one turn, it's still 4 times weak to 2 priority moves, both being Mach Punch and Bullet Punch, and actually is weak to another priority move, which being Aqua Jet. Which means that it's not very likely that this Pokemon will survive anyway, and as a result, this Pokemon just straight up sucks. And I know we got reverse battles going, that's kind of a gimmick that this Pokemon is vastly superior to anything on the team, but that is sadly where this story ends. And really, I feel like if they just made a typing like this, they should at least, much like Sneasel, Weavile, you know, given it the decency to give it speed enough to be able to take out common threats, but instead it's just a freaking sack of pain. There is no way for this Pokemon to survive, even if it has an honest chance, and it's got some good stats in it, like decent bulk and got decent HP, good offensively pressure. It still will fall short against pretty much anything against your opponent's team. There is no way you can survive long enough to be able to pull off the sweep with this thing, and yeah, it frustrates me because I really like this poke, I love the design, but we rarely see this guy because of one thing. It has an issue to stay alive, and I don't see this trend sadly turn for it, and that's why it is in number 2. So let's now get into the number 1. Number 1, Dedenne. So yeah, it really sucked to put this guy on number 1 because I like it a lot, and I have a little story with this guy that I'm really gonna tell you guys. At the route that this guy is in, he was actually the first one I met on that route, and I decided to, oh yeah, that's the Generation 6 Pikachu, right? I gotta use that, that's a given. So I caught it, and it was not only because afterwards I realized I only got 1% of meat in this guy, and I caught a modest one, so I was like, oh yeah, and it's Fairy Electric, what a unique typing, awesome, right? Right? Yeah, it is an awesome typing, I'll give it that. But that is as far as it goes. It has great special attack. And what I mean great is that it's up there. It really is something to be, you know, taken note of. And it got the speed to utilize itself as going to become a great Spexer with wall switch and stuff like that. And it got the type fairy typing. And of course it doesn't learn any special attacks at all. No. Why would it do that? I mean, Pikachu gets Draining Kiss next or in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, what? This guy, no. Why? Why should it learn a special attack when we got special offensive pressure? Yeah, let's not give it Dazzling Gleam. What happened? Why did this guy get the cold shoulder from Game Freak? Really? I mean, he got play rough, and he got, what is that, 58 in attack stats in base? Yes, that is gonna work. That's gonna work a lot. No, but really, I mean, Dedenne is probably the Pokemon that I was hoping was gonna be something else, and by the typing alone, it definitely felt like it, but it just don't work. It's officially dead by default because of the moves it learns, which is nothing. It learns nothing useful, really. And what makes it even worse is that I like this Pokemon, I really want to utilize it, but there is very few things you can do with it, and I got, you know, access to the new Chic Poach ability, which means that when you use a berry, that you actually get the chance to recover some extra HP. It is a Rotom. It's a Rotom Pokemon. It's not made for lasting. I mean, it got Rest and Snore, and you can pull off a Chesto, yes, but really, it's just an EQ for an Oko. And what were you thinking, Game Freak? Really? I mean, this is your Generation 6 Pikachu, and you treat it like a freaking bug Pokemon, like the lowest tier bug Pokemon. It really frustrates me, and it frustrates me because it could be something else, and it didn't get the chance to do just that. And it doesn't learn any new moves in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which means that this guy is screwed over for at least 2 more years. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Awesome. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Like I said in the beginning, there's definitely my personal opinion of these guys, and what really makes the last two make the list and are so standalone, the Pokemon that's gonna just be there, is that they actually introduced a unique typing, and their typing is it's not worthwhile if they can't utilize it, and it really feels like that. Both Auroras and Dedenne are probably the worst thing they introduced this generation, and it's sad to consider how great Generation 6 is. A lot of unique stuff and a lot of originality, so I hope this guy, you know, makes it someday, because I really want to see posts like that, you know, work properly in the metagame and not just being something that exists for the Pokédex. I mean, as long as we're on that topic, really guys, really. But yeah, like I said there guys, I hope you liked this video, and if you did just that, make sure to leave a like here. And if you're new to my channel, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll do weekly top 10s and 5s, I hope to actually utilize that even more often. So please make a comment if a future top 10 or 5 you want to see. So alright guys, thank you for watching. As always, don't forget, the sky is the limit. Have a good day, alright, take care. Bye.